Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kickin' Show, the official podcast of Kickin' the Tires. I'm your show's host, Jerry Jordan. We got Justin Schuoler, Seth, Eggert, and a special guest tonight, the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Texas Motor Speedway, Rob Ramage. Rob, welcome to the show. And how's things going up there at Texas Motor Speedway?
Brother Jerry, you're the first person that's ever introduced me as a special guest, so thank you.
Well, you are to us.
Well, you're sweet. Everything is just peachy and creamy up here at Texas Motor Speedway. It's just fabulous. Today, the infield campers arrived. We're about, 30-40% full. Not everybody comes on Thursday. We've got a lot of good folks in the exterior campground who were kind enough on Tuesday night to invite me to a spaghetti dinner, which was just fabulous. We have the world's best weather, not only for racing, but for fans and camping coming up this weekend. The weathermen have predicted high 40s in the morning and Chamber of Commerce, not a cloud in the sky weather, 75 on Saturday and 71 on Sunday. So it's just going to be fabulous.
Well, you stole one of my talking points because I'm like, this is your first official race as general manager at Texas Motor Speedway. And I don't know who you bribed, but the weather is fabulous.
Yeah, it's, I did lots of praying.
Well, it definitely worked out. And because, look, as you know, I live not too far from there, and I know what the weather here in Texas is like. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm in my office at the house right now, but I'm going to be leaving as soon as the show's over and driving up to the track, and I will be there first thing. Well, I'll be there tonight, but first thing in the morning, I'll be kind of stalking around the track and getting some photos and talking to some people. And what has been your build up to this so far, getting ready for this weekend's action?
First and foremost, this is your home track.
Yes, sir.
You need anything here, you holler. And when you get here, you find me. I'd love to just chit chat with you. Expectations and other things for this race. We've got a lot of new things that I've done. And I'm here to tell you they're paying off. And I'm out there talking to fans in the grandstands, on the concourse, in the campgrounds. I'm meeting people, I'm listening, and I'm telling them these little things. And so some of the, we're the world's, not only the world's most patriotic sport, but the world's most family-friendly sport. We don't charge for parking. On Saturdays for the Xfinity, kids get in free with an accompanying adult. On Sunday, it's $10. Mom and dad can bring in a cooler, pack lunch, snacks, Coca-Cola, whatever it is they want. But the one thing for years I thought we were missing at TMS on our fan zone, which is kind of like a mini version of the Great State Fair of Texas.
Exactly.
Is a dedicated kids area.
Okay.
And so I created it. And it's called the Kids Fan Zone. And on that kids fan zone, we've got all kinds of family-friendly activities, family-friendly food-themed areas, seating, activities. But we got face painters, balloon artists. We're in Texas, and so we got cowboy magicians, whatever that means. Whatever a cowboy magician does, I'm going to find out. We've got trick ropers, cowboys on stilts, and a real cool setup of like a Old West town. And we're going to have an Old West Texas style cowboy shootout all throughout on Sunday. So when I talk to families and particularly young kids and I tell them that, boy, they're excited. And that gives them another special thing, a special activity, other special things. For years, I can't tell you how many campers I know that are in our infield. And I'm over here and I'm at Jerry's campground and Jerry's telling me, Rob, you got to try my brisket. It's the best brisket. And then I walk down to the next camper and Seth tells me the same thing. And then I walk over to Justin and Justin is bad mouthing both of you saying you don't know how to cook and you're all wrong.
That sounds like Justin.
And I need to eat his brisket. So King's X, I get a promotion. So we're going to have an old-fashioned squaring off in the infield. So I got two classes. One is for people like me, average Joe camper. So that gives me the opportunity to showcase my brisket, my chicken, or my ribs, all the above. And then we've got these professionals that compete for points, and they're trying to get to Memphis or Kansas City, and it's part of a series. And we have, I think, over 50 of the pros that are going to come here, bring their big time rigs. We're going to have smoke in the air. Our fans are going to get to watch that. They're going to get to sample. Our campers are going to get to have their own competition. We've got tons of them signed up for it. And then right before the Xfinity race on Victory Lane, we're going to do it up big time and crown some champions for our inaugural barbecue contest.
Well, that's amazing because I'm a huge barbecue fan, being from Texas. And if it's okay, we actually picked up a new sponsor on the show, and I was supposed to have Sarah on tonight to announce it, but Mike D's Barbecue is going to be a new sponsor of Kicking the Tires. They're out of Raleigh, North Carolina. So that's the first anyone's heard of that. But we're going to have our own barbecue sponsor. I have a camper and some stuff. I may have to, if you do this again, I'm not prepared for now. I may have to make this happen at another race at Texas Motor Speedway.
I promise you this. This has already been such a huge success. Today, I was down in the infield campground, and everybody was talking about it. And people who aren't entering, I promise you this. Next year, it will be bigger and better, and it will become a tradition here in Texas. Some of the other things that you might think is fun, our campers do. Torchy's Tacos is one of our partners that's in the infield. So instead of seeing guys slop down hot dogs in a cup of water, we're going to have a Torchy's Taco eating contest after the Xfinity race.
You should do that. You should do that for the media.
Come on, let's go. I'm going to try and figure out a way if I can enter in it. But that's going to be fun. Then we have concerts going on all throughout, all kinds of activities. We have a KISS tribute band in the infield Saturday night at 10 o'clock. And those are things that we've just never really done at TMS. And there are things that our campers want that. I want them to be happy. Fans come first, and campers are a big part of that. And I want them to have a run a show so that when they wake up, if they want to go to a pancake breakfast and do all these things throughout the day, they can.
That's amazing. I am really looking forward to even more now, because those are some things that, as the barbecue and things like that. And the kids on, I've always said that we need more kids friendly activities at NASCAR races. So this is great. I do have one more question before I turn you over real quick for a couple questions from Justin and Seth. I bought a Texas Motor Speedway limited edition, one of 500 NFT. Yes. What did I buy?
Brother Jerry, you've come to the wrong source.
What you bought is the ownership of the source code of essentially a photo.
Okay. I'm cool with it. I have number 168, Rob, just if that means anything to you.
That's God bless you, and I'm so proud of you.
And mind you, I'm no expert either, so I'm giving you a very generalized explanation.
Well, the track sent it out today, and I'm like, I got to check out. I always read what the pressers that the track sends out, and I'm like, this is kind of interesting. And I just actually done a little bit on NFTs with the Barrett Jackson auction that was here in Houston, so I was a little bit familiar with it. And I'm like, okay, for $20, I'll bite, whatever. Yeah. And then I looked for. I was going to tag you on Twitter, and I couldn't find your Twitter account.
You'd have to keep looking hard, Brother Jerry.
You don't have one, huh?
And if you ever find it, you let me know what it is.
Well, I know who does the Twitter account for Texas, and I said, does he even Twitter? And he's like, no, I twit for him. So so the track got into it, and we always play back and forth off each other. But I'm going to let you talk to Justin and Seth real quick. I know you have been going since 2:00 this morning, 2:15 this morning, and I don't want to take up any more of your valuable time because it's going to be a long weekend.
I really can't wait to see you, and I hope that when you get here, you Send me a text, send me an email, call me, whatever, but let's connect.
Absolutely. I've got your number.
Great.
Yeah, it's always huge when we get someone like you on the show. So appreciate your time as always, and looking forward to a great weekend. I know Texas always puts on a good show. But talking about putting on shows, you've already mentioned you've got the Kids Zone, you've got the cook-off going on. Are there any other ideas that we should be aware of maybe next year, or possibly, because I'm huge into grassroots, are there any other talks with maybe another series coming to Texas Motor Speedway? Because you have Atlanta and Daytona who hold Supercross races, and then IMSA goes to a couple of those. Are there talks of maybe getting another series racing at Texas Motor Speedway?
There really aren't, to be honest with you. We do a lot of activities at the dirt track. Like, for example, this weekend on Friday and Saturday night, we'll have all kinds of dirt track racing. We do motorcycle racing. We've done back in the day when Robbie Gordon had the tour and things like that. We do those activities. We have a ton of on-the-track activity as is with the driving schools. We do, like on the infield road course, have a lot of drifting and those kind of competitions. But I guess to answer your question, if a big-time CEO is out there from another series, write this number down, 817-215-8553. That's my phone number. Call me.
Well, excellent, Seth. What do you got? You've already kind of wowed him with some other stuff we talked about earlier tonight, but that NFT stuff is new to everyone. But
yeah, it's new to me too. But you also had the iRacing series, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, have their championship race at Texas. Granted, yes, it's a virtual series, it's esports, but for Texas to even have something like that, whether it's regular season or for iRacing, it was their championship. What does that mean for Texas Motor Speedway?
It's incredibly meaningful because it's getting people to think about Texas Motor Speedway, albeit digital. It's showcasing our property. It's showcasing us. You saw little bits and pieces of us that are unique to Texas in that. And so it's making people think, well, I viewed, I participated in, I raced, maybe I should go. And maybe those are people that have never been or had never thought about coming to Texas Motor Speedway, but I hope that now they are, because they're welcome and they're wanted. And there's nothing like seeing a race in person. It's just like when Jerry and I were talking about barbecue, there's a big difference in going to a barbecue restaurant and seeing the pit master and seeing the flame, coming home and smelling like it, than having a brisket sandwich delivered to your home. And that's the difference. It's I can make 1,000 different parallels, but you need to be here, you need to be in person to see that eye perception of what it's like to see the car operate at those speeds, those cars bang and get that close, the smell, the noise. It makes the hair on your neck stand up.
Rob, we didn't tell people your path to this spot and where you're sitting right now. And real quick, before we let you go, just give the fans that don't know, that are be watching this for the first time, and say, hey, that's a non-familiar face. How did you end up as the GM at TMS?
So I'm a lawyer by education, and my first role was really to serve in that role and oversee all the governmental responsibilities for Texas Motor Speedway. And unbeknownst to most, speedways have all kinds of legal issues, all kinds of governmental issues. And then I transitioned to add other roles, including financial and compliance, prior to this position. When you're really in the legal role, you touch and see everything. So you work tremendously with your business partners, with commercial sales, business units, accounting and financial, marketing, advertising, and tickets, and quite candidly, even PR and media relations. All those things kind of hit your desk. And if you look at a lot of new CEOs that are getting promoted, a lot of those people are lawyers. And we kind of share the same seats. And it's a natural training ground because of that constant exposure you get to every department. How I got here, I don't know. I think that I've always been a racing fan, and I'm very passionate, and I love TMS, and I'm very committed to TMS and NASCAR. I'm a workaholic. It seems like I work 24/7, and I'm very, very involved with people in the grandstands, with people in the suites, and our campers. And I think when you add all that up, somebody kind of looked and said, hey, this guy's got a lot of good experience. The other thing, and like today here at the track, I probably had 10 or 15 conversations about our future. Our future is very, very bright at Texas Motor Speedway. These little new things that I was speaking of earlier are paying huge dividends. When you look in our market within a 45-mile radius, we have over 8.9 million people. Our state has 28.6 million people. We have 52 of the Fortune 500 companies. We're forever the #1 state for corporate relocations for privately held companies, the #1 state for consumer relocation. We are so blessed with what we have. And if you think about it, if I got 5% of my 45-mile radius market, Texas Motor Speedway, the second largest sporting event venue in the greatest state on planet Earth, isn't big enough. Our future is bright. NASCAR is killing it right now on a lot of fronts. It has a lot of positive momentum. I have a race coming with a former champion who's had a spat with the most current champion, where the most current champion wished him a happy off season and an early Merry Christmas. And that guy who he said that to has won here 3 times. He's had 12 top 5 finishes, and he has led over 733 laps. That guy, maybe in that subway car, is showing up here to win this race. The 8 guys that are in our playoffs who are household names, A-list blue chip drivers, guys like Mark Truex, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson. None of those drivers, those 5 drivers, have ever won a race in Texas. And if you think about those things and you add in the cool weather, y'all know this, that means more tape on ducts and taking chances and more speed and more downforce and all these other things, but it's also higher risk. So is somebody in that 8 going to blow a motor in stage 3 or stage 2? I don't know. But the drama, the racing, what's everything coming our way in short time, boy, buckle up. It's going to be fabulous.
Well, it took a reformed physics major turned lawyer to figure all that out, I guess. But I did my background work. But man, I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight, and I will look you up when I get there.
Yeah, do. I'll come on y'all's show anytime. So anytime you want to have a special guest, y'all put the bat signal up in the sky, and I'll hopefully not have my sunglasses on and see it.
Not a problem. We will take care of it. Thank you again. You take care. See you tomorrow, buddy.
Okay. Y'all take care, and thank you for having me.
Sir. Man, that was really cool to have Rob on the show. And, I can't wait. We got to hurry this up, guys, because I'm going to Texas Motor Speedway as soon as I leave here. So, getting into heavy duty into the show here, there is some news that we have to report. Tony Stewart, my buddy Tony Stewart, announcing today, Thursday, that he is starting Tony Stewart Racing NHRA division. And he's going to have Leah Pruitt and Matt Hagan as his drivers. Leah's going to drive a top fuel car, and Matt is going to drive a funny car. So that announcement coming out officially. I kind of knew what was going on earlier in the week, but was sworn to secrecy, Justin. Sometimes that happens. But
it's not much of a secret when they're like, oh, Tony Stewart, Leah Pruitt, and this really big name and big title from the NHRA, but you have no clue what's happening, Jerry. Not a single clue.
Well, in fairness, Tony and Leah are getting married. So it could have been that they were announcing their wedding at Pomona coming up, and they could have been having it on the track in a big deal. But instead, they're going to get married after Pomona. It's hard to say.
Nomina. That's okay. I keep saying Leia because I'm such a Star Wars geek. So sorry, Tony.
And as he tags his tweets, by the way, it says #hotwife. And she was very adamant today in her comments about my man. Like, Tony's her man, and she's going to be racing for, her future husband. And you got Hagan over there,
who's playing about third wheel.
Well, third is kind of a key term here because he's got 3 NHRA championships under his belt. He's going for a 4th right now with Don Schumacher Racing. So that was pretty cool. And then Mr. Cromwell with the NHRA, I loved this analogy. These guys are superheroes. Tony Stewart is Superman. Leah Pruitt is Wonder Woman, and Matt Hagan is the Incredible Hulk. So Hulk Hagan is as he called him, but and not the Hulk Hogan, but Hulk Hagan, and referring to him as the Incredible Hulk superhero. I loved it. It was great. So what were y'all's takeaway from all that?
Well, for one, I love the DC for reference for 2 of them and Marvel for the other. But comics aside, it's a pretty stout lineup. And it kind of reminds me of back in the day when Joe Gibbs Racing had a NHRA division. So I know Joe Gibbs Racing had like 30, 35 wins, something like that in NHRA. Tony Stewart Racing, I think would probably get somewhere around there, give or take. And with that lineup, I wouldn't be surprised if they get a championship or 2.
Yeah, and I think of like Kyle Larson, like anything he gets behind the wheel, he just wins or he dominates. Robbie Gordon, whenever he just decides to start some racing series, it takes off and has a lot of success. And Tony Stewart, whenever he starts something with racing, like a racing team, it just does well. So I think, Jerry, we're going to have to maybe look into getting someone to join the team to start writing some NHRA articles, because I feel like Tony Stewart's going to be joining a few more Hall of Fames here.
Well, I mentioned that in my article. He's been in several, including the National Motorsports Press Association Hall of Fame. And but I sent him a text congratulating him and everything. He sent me a thumbs up, and I told him I would definitely be at Tony Stewart Racing's first NHRA event. So I've got to figure out when the calendar is so that I can skip NASCAR and have one of you guys cover it for me that weekend, because I definitely want to be there to see them come out of the gate. That's going to be a lot of fun. In other news, back on the NASCAR side of things, look, I made a phone call, okay, and a text, and I got what was going on. Other than, why do people have to think that journalism is tweeting someone else's tweet or writing around someone else's tweet? Just do your job. Make the call. Reach out. Text somebody. Yes, NASCAR did reach out to team members and drivers at Hendrick Motorsports and Stewart Haas Racing and talk to Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick. It really did happen. Okay. It wasn't that hard to figure out that something was going to happen after this past weekend and what had carried over from races before. NASCAR said, hey, you guys need to calm it down. If you'll recall, Seth, you're the stat guy. Back in the day, they did that with another Hendrick driver, with Tim Richmond and Dale Earnhardt Sr. So, we got a Rowdy Burns situation here. So here's...
Yeah, Jeff Bodine deal.
Jeff Bodine, that's right. I'm sorry, Jeff Bodine. No, it was Earnhardt got called to the carpet for somebody else. Maybe it was Rusty Wallace. But yeah, Jeff Bodine and Tim. So we're in that scenario. We can't be having chaos on the track. Go out there and race.
Yeah, and obviously, I think Jeff Gluck put it best from The Athletic, where he said, Harvick ran up onto Elliott, cut his tire at Bristol. Elliott kind of paid him back by holding him up at the end of Bristol. Harvick got mad at that. Harvick then felt like that wasn't even, so he retaliated at the Roval, putting Elliott into the wall. And then Elliott, I guess, kind of mentally paid him back by having Harvick mirror drive himself into that heartburn turn wall.
DeWalt wall now.
Yeah, that
DeWalt wall.
DeWalt wall.
Yeah, because definitely need a lot of DeWalt tools. Definitely going to need a lot of those tools to fix that car. That wall, I think, every year has had an iconic crash at the Roval.
Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott drove into that wall, nosed it in, backed it out, turned around, and won the darn race.
Jeez, that wall, I don't know why Tums decided to not keep sponsoring that wall, because that wall has just been so iconic with this race. So I mean, unfortunate for Harvick. I mean, for Chase Elliott fans, you're just like, bummer. For Harvick fans, it's like, well, we'll get you next year. I wonder if NASCAR's biggest reason for this phone call too is probably because now that Harvick's eliminated from the playoffs, they are really huge about having non-playoff drivers affecting the race of playoff drivers. So,
well, except for Kensington Logano, but
well, they didn't see it coming. I mean, who would have ever thought that would have happened the way that it went down?
Yeah,
and at the time, if you recall, at the time, it was they were Kansas was in the playoffs. It was when it was not in the playoffs that something happened the next week or two later at Martinsville.
Yeah.
But I tell you what. Kevin Harvick running into the wall will be the least of his problems if this stuff doesn't stop, because he'll need the DeWalt tools to unscrew his life and the fine that NASCAR will impose on him if he continues to mess with Chase Elliott while Chase is in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was interesting to say the least. And I was actually doing live points because I was interested to see how that affected Chase. And after Chase had gotten back on track, when William Byron wasn't leading, he and Harvick were actually tied in points, with Chase having the tiebreaker.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Yeah. So even though Harvick essentially dumped Chase, had Harvick not wrecked and they finished where they were, Chase would have been in on a tiebreaker and Harvick would have been out.
That happened with Chase a couple of years ago with Jimmy Johnson. See, y'all don't think I pay attention to this stuff, but I was there, and Jimmy Johnson, 7-time champion, got bumped because of the exact same thing at Charlotte.
Yep. Wasn't that because Jeffrey Earnhardt spun coming to the checkered flag, and that gave Kyle Larson another...
Yeah, because he couldn't get restart, and Larson just bounced off the wall to get around him
with no right front tire. Like I think the tie rod broke or something on that car. But yeah, that was crazy.
Oh, I have a question. Since before we go on to the next topic, at the beginning of the year, we need to go back and find the show. I predicted a certain number of wins for a certain driver. And I'm wondering how close I am to what that number was. Seth, do you remember?
I think
was it 10?
I think it was 10, and I think it was Kyle Larson.
Yes. It was Kyle Larson, and I think it was 10. And where are we at right now?
7.
Y'all thought I was crazy.
To quit saying that, because none of us thought you were crazy.
Yeah, y'all did.
I want to say it was after his win at Vegas.
I want y'all to go back and pull that audio from that article or from that podcast, and I want to put that into the next show and just see how. Or we could save it until the end of the year when I'm right, and go from there.
Okay,
that
so
would mean he'd have to win
3 of the next 4.
3 of the next 4. Yeah.
Well, I don't know where I'm at in points, but if he doesn't get picked before I get to him, I'm going to pick him this weekend. So, if y'all need to pick, you want to steal somebody from me, I'm picking Larson.
I believe it's going to be Justin, you, and then me.
Well, Justin,
sorry,
you picking Larson?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
So
totally.
you have faith in the driver that I picked at the beginning of the year.
Oh, I mean, I've had faith in him for a long time.
Okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Before we move on, as we move on, Seth, I want to kick it over to you for a few minutes, and obviously some sad news coming out from your front, and just take us through what happened, and let the fans know what the situation is.
Yeah. For some of the fans, you may know, before I was with Kicking Tires, I was with Motorsports Tribune, and I was on a podcast called Drafting the Circuits quite a bit. One of the co-hosts there, Gray Warren, he over the past 18 months, he had been fighting a battle with cancer. And on Monday of this week, October 11th, he unfortunately lost his battle with cancer. Gray started in NASCAR with Bill Davis Racing. He was on the pit crew. He won the Daytona 500 with Bill Davis Racing. When they shut down, he moved to Richard Childress Racing. He worked with, I want to say, Clint Boyer and Ryan Newman's teams. And then when the third car at RCR went away, they moved him over to Childress Vineyards. It's not easy losing somebody, but it's not easy losing somebody who helped you get your start in the racing industry. And Gray was one of those. He was one of the first ones that gave me a platform on a podcast, him and Frank Santorowski. And we're thinking of you. We're thinking of your family, Gray. And I'm glad you're at peace now.
And before you move on to your segment, I also want to add a couple of things. NMPA, National Motorsports Press Association, announced to the membership this week that Mark Armijo lost his wife of 30 years this past week. And Skip Clayton, a lot of people don't know who Skip Clayton is, but he runs a radio show out of Pennsylvania. And I was a regular on this show. I hadn't heard from Skip in a while. COVID's kind of put him, Skip's an elderly gentleman. Been around racing forever, knows Mario Andretti, there's nobody that doesn't know in the old generation racing world that doesn't know who Skip Clayton is. And he is battling bone cancer. So thoughts and prayers out to him and his family. I'm going to reach out to him tomorrow, just getting this news today. I think I actually got it late yesterday, but I wanted to mention it on the show. And also shout out to our a couple of other buddies in NASCAR that are overcoming some things, and they know who they are. So, but that they're in our heart, our thoughts and prayers as well.
And the building that Bill Davis Racing was in before they finally shut down, and because they had one, I believe, up in Raleigh, and then they had a smaller one here in Mooresville. That one changed hands a couple of times. It was Germain Racing, and then it was also Ultra Motorsports at one point. Then it went to Premium Motorsports, and right now it's actually being rented by 2311 Racing until their permanent shop is built. 2311 Racing won the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Championship earlier this week, both the team title and the driver's title, with Keegan Leahy. The Canadian won his first championship after finishing runner-up in 2019, beating out Logan Clampett from William Byron Esports, Mitchell DeYoung from 2311 Racing, and Bobby Zelensky from Latart Esports. A couple of drivers who got relegated to this is going to be a mouthful, eNASCAR Road to Pro Contender iRacing Series, which is going to be the series that will make up, it's 40 drivers, the back half of the grid from the Coke Series, and the front half, or the top 20 in points, from the eNASCAR Road to Pro Series. I know it's the names are not lining up very well this year, but Nathan Lyon, who was with Roush Fenway Racing, and John Gorlinski, who was with Wood Brothers Racing, they both got relegated and both declined their invitations to the Road to Pro Series. So what that will do is actually move up 21st and 22nd in points from the series that just ended that we were sponsoring Logan Helton in. And if two more people decline, one of our friends who we've sponsored before, Brandon Cattell, could have another chance at making the Coke Series.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be great. So I would, hey, reach out. You guys that we've sponsored, we're loyal to our people. So definitely let us know how we can help you. And they could always call it the eNASCAR Kicking the Tires Road to Pro Series. I mean, I think I've sponsored more drivers than any other media outlet in the history of NASCAR. So why not?
The Kick into Pro Series.
I think the only outlet, at least iRacing wise, that maybe has sponsored more is, if not iRacing itself, maybe NBC because of Steve Letarte.
Okay, that doesn't count. They have like buckets of money. I have a puddle of money. I don't even have enough money to fill this bottle up with compared to what NBC has. Come on. So
true.
Put me on the same playing field.
And speaking of contract money, Justin, I think a Truck Series driver has a new contract.
Yeah, well, an extension. John Hunter Nemechek, obviously, with all the rides getting filled up in Xfinity and him just absolutely obliterating this year with the Truck Series. John Hunter Nemechek is going to be driving the 4 truck with Kyle Busch Motorsports in 2022. Obviously not a surprise, obviously, with the year he's had. I think I've mentioned multiple times on this show that the only truck I've seen able to keep up with him with the consistency has been Sheldon Creed. So definitely good for him. It was kind of a shock when we saw it last year where he took this step back. But Jerry, like you mentioned before, getting married, having a kid, making the wiser decision, I think is really, no pun intended, but paid off. He's running for a championship this year and one of the favorites going into it. So,
oh, absolutely, and that was a smart thing to do. I mean, he's got a wife, he's got a kid, he just bought a new house in Davidson, so they need to pay the bills, and he needs to drive race cars. And Kyle Busch is a proven winner. Kyle Busch Motorsports, KBM has a history of winning, and put somebody with that kind of talent in a truck like Kyle's, and it's a recipe for success. If you don't pick those guys every week, it's just because you're wanting to give away some points overall, I think.
Now here's one thing I've kind of thought of, like, does John Hunter Nemechek stay in the Truck Series? Does he become like a Ron Hornaday and become the next Ron Hornaday of the Truck Series?
He could. Why not?
I mean, he's young enough. I think, like, gosh, he could single-handedly go after some of these big numbers that Hornaday has put up. Hornaday with like 5 championships, I think at one point won like 6 in a row. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nemechek wanted to do something like that, because this partnership between him and Kyle Busch has really proven. Like I said, Kyle wants winners. He's got one right here.
Although I'm not sure how happy Kyle would be if John Hunter eventually starts knocking on his own record numbers.
I don't think that you could get there. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but Kyle Busch had a mission, and he set out to do that, and he's pretty much true to his word. So I think this is the plan all came together, so to speak. Speaking of plans coming together, Seth, has there been any Xfinity withdrawals this week from Texas Motor Speedway?
Not that I know of.
Somebody going home.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there's 41 entries for the Xfinity race this week at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, so
That's right.
that would be the number 13 from Carl Long, which they have been 41st quite a bit in recent weeks because of Jordan Anderson's team getting into the top 40.
Well, that's Timmy Hill.
Yeah, they've been
Wow.
putting him on the entry blank, or the 13 car, that is, to be able to attempt all of the races because of the way owner points work and the payouts are.
So are they going to try to qualify?
Well, there is no qualifying at Texas.
Oh,
but
that's right. That's right.
They will try to qualify at Phoenix.
Okay, so they're leaving, and I guess they don't. Do they even have to show up at the track?
No, they don't.
Okay.
Basically, they're just paying the entry fee.
I thought about doing that with a pool tournament last weekend that I played in. I would have done just as. There's a video online of why I should have just paid the entry fee, because I lost 10 straight games after that, because sometimes things just mess with your mind. If I showed up at the track knowing I was going to have to go home, that would mess with my mind. So yeah, I can understand why Timmy would just go ahead and pay the entry fee and stay home.
Now, talking about that entry list, I see Michael Annett is still listed for the one car.
He is week to week as of right now.
That's what I thought.
And they have Josh Berry on standby.
Okay. That's what I thought.
And I know they had Josh. Here's something that they did for the Roval. They had Josh Berry on the entry list. So that allowed them to pick sooner in pit road selection. Race day, they announced that Michael Annett's going to be in the car. So Michael Annett has to drop to the rear, but they keep their pit selection.
Yep.
Smart planning.
So that whether or not this is what's happening this weekend, I don't know. But keeping Michael Annett on the entry plank keeps the pit selection.
And that also will allow Annett, if he starts the race, to get the points, which would be huge because of how close Ty Gibbs and Josh Berry are with the Rookie of the Year standings. I'm trying to pull those up here.
It is exactly the same as the regular points now, Rookie of the Year.
I also want to point out that our buddy Ryan Vargas, who we've sponsored at iRacing, has Swan Communications on his car this weekend.
For the final 4 races.
That's right. And you may not know this or not, but I actually had a little camera surveillance company that I still kind of operate for, like piecemeal stuff for people that call me, specialized camera gear and like putting cameras in bottles and things like that for undercover police officers and detectives and things. Swan Communications actually has a lot of these equipment that I use. So that's we buy from the same vendor. And so that's pretty cool to see them on Ryan's car. So that was, I looked down and I saw that. I'm like, yeah, they're closing out their sponsorship there. Yeah.
And after the announcement and an interview that Ryan did with Jeff Gluck, which he did in his fire suit, he walked back into the JD Motorsports shop, changed back into work clothes, and started working on the cars with the crew.
Well, there you go. That's awesome.
I guess the other big news is that GMS has announced that Ty Dillon will be driving the 96 car in
94.
Or 94, sorry. 94 car next year for their Cup team. So that's the other, big.
And I think we talked about that last week.
A little bit.
I mentioned Bill Elliott drove the 94, I think.
Yeah, Bill Elliott drove the 94. Mike Beam was the crew chief. And GMS is in the old Bill Elliott Racing shop.
Okay, so we did talk about it. I wasn't sure if we had talked about that or not. So
we didn't go all that in, but yeah, we did mention that because I think it was just coming out when we did the show last week. But yeah, lots of things finally coming together. There is some talk about a 2311. They're still looking for a
charter.
For a charter, but we've known that. We talked to Denny about that. Denny's not worried. So we'll see where that goes.
I
And
guess
in
Front Row
Xfinity,
Motorsports backed out of talks with that.
That's what I
Yeah.
heard, but again, I didn't call them to verify that. But I did talk to Denny about him looking for a charter a couple of weeks ago. So, and he doesn't seem to be too concerned about it. So,
and over on the Xfinity side, Richard Childress Racing announced that Whelen, the safety light company, will sponsor Sheldon Creed full time in the Xfinity Series next year. In the number 2, which is currently driven by Myatt Snider.
Well, that is a pricey deal, because I was trying to put a driver at RCR one time, and I know how much that deal costs. So that's a good sponsorship from Whelen, and to go over there. I'm sure there may be some additional sponsors come on the board with the car, but that's going to be great for Richard Childress Racing.
And Richard Childress also mentioned potentially there will be a second car. They're still working out the finances with a driver. He wouldn't say who. And at Myatt Snider, they are looking at options of putting him at one of their affiliates in the Xfinity Series.
Okay.
Well, and Richard said that his affiliates in the Xfinity Series right now are Big Machine Racing, which has Jade Buford full-time for next year, and they only have one car, and Colleague Racing, which AJ is supposed to be back full-time. They have Daniel Hemrick replacing Justin Haley, who's moving up to the Cup Series. And Jeb Burton mentioned that he's not returning to the number 10.
I'd heard that too. I'd heard that he wasn't coming back. Now, Colleague is on the A plan at Richard Childress Racing. There's different tiers, different plans for cars. I would think that that Buford's team is probably on the BC plan, somewhere in that area.
Whichever plan they're on, they're upgrading for next year.
Okay, then they're going from the C plan to the B plan. That makes sense. So that would be an interesting spot. So looking ahead to this week at Texas Motor Speedway, what do we have for Xfinity picks?
Well,
do we need to go through last week's Roval before we go to this? Because I think.
Well, let's talk about the Roval, because your boy here is
cheated.
Dominating Xfinity. So
you cheated.
Yeah, of course I cheated.
Well, you had Cindric you had AJ for Xfinity.
I had AJ for
and
Xfinity.
for Cup.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, I was not expecting AJ to get all the way up there and battle Elliott for that stage win. I was like, where did he come from? So that was legit cool to see. I'm so bummed that motor blew on him, because that would have probably been a fun race for the win to see what AJ could have done with that 16 car. But I'll tell you what, had that motor held together, man, that would have been sweet.
Yeah, but unfortunately it didn't, and your string of bad luck in Cup continues.
Hey, at least it's not in Xfinity, man. That's what counts right there, I guess.
No, Cup counts. Cup is all that counts this year. See, we started this only in Cup, and then we added the other stuff. So, but next year we may change up some rules overall. You may not be able to pick the same driver 2 weeks in a row. I'm thinking some rules.
Yeah, I'm experimenting with different formats as well, and I'm sure during the off season we'll talk about it and come up with something. But for Xfinity, the person who has to pick first is Jerry.
I'm last, so I knew I was last, and I'm actually sitting here looking through the list, and part of me just wants to throw a bone out to Chris Knight at catchfence.com and pick Joe Graff Jr. Just because. I mean, I'm already last. Anything.
So now you want to be laster.
No. Joe's a great driver,
and he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
He's a great guy. So, I'm thinking that that might be, if I'm gonna show my loyalty, and I'm big on loyalty, I'm gonna pick Joe Graff Jr. Why not?
Okay. Okay, and next to pick for Xfinity is myself, because right now, Justin, you're actually second in points. I'm third in points. Zach is leading, and Zach's not here today. So I'm going to go with Cindric.
Good pick. I picked him once.
And that leaves you, Justin, for Xfinity.
Yeah. So, well, looking back at the Roval, quick shout out to Josh Williams with an 11th place run. That's huge for that team. So, good run there.
Also, Preston Pardis and Axel Bay in the top 10.
Yeah, and Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer getting a 10th place run as well. I think that's his 4th of the year already, and he's part-time. So, really good numbers early on for that kid. Man, so for Texas, so do I want to go with Allgaier in the 7 or with John Hunter Nemechek in the 54? That's the real question. Man, gosh.
Is there like an ARCA race this weekend or something? Is that why the 54 is being driven by John Hunter?
No.
I don't think so. I think the ARCA is really only doing Phoenix, right? That's left on their schedule.
Where's Ty at? Is he in?
Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, they have Kansas on the 23rd for the National Series, and then I know the ARCA Menards West is racing.
I want to say they had signed this with John Hunter to run the 54 earlier in the season before the playoffs. A, to get him a little bit more seat time, and B, the trucks are off.
Well, the trucks are off, but I mean, I figured, with Ty's success and everything, with him moving up next year, now here's the thing: how many races has he raced? Will he still be qualified for Rookie of the Year next year?
The battle for Rookie of the Year for him, if he wants to get it, is this year between himself and Josh Berry.
Wow. Okay.
And that's the other thing
them
with
aren't
Junior
racing today.
Motorsports.
At least at this point, both of them aren't entered right now. It's Michael Nett in the 1 and Nemechek in the 54.
And that's the other thing with Junior Motorsports. If they put Berry in the 1 for the rest of the season because of how many races Ty's running versus how many races are left, Josh could basically start 3 races and win it.
Well, I just know that I was looking at the entry link a while ago, looking for my picks and going down the list, and I didn't see his name. And then when he said John Hunter was in the 54, I'm like, I would have thought that Ty would have been in it, but hey, more power. So what's your pick?
As much as I want to go with Nemechek, I'm probably just going to stick with Allgaier for this round. This is crunch time for all the playoff drivers, and so this is where everyone's going to bring their A game. Not saying that Nemechek can't go up and steal this win, but I think Allgaier is just going to be driving the most aggressive and the smartest of the two. So,
and you've already said that your cup pick is Larson. So, yep. Skipping off of that, Jerry,
are you going to stay? Are you going to stay with Larson?
Yeah, I'll stay with Larson. But before we go with the picks, when is Tyler Reddick gonna win a freaking race?
Well, he came in second last year at this race when after a 4-day delay for rain that I was the only beat reporter at the track. So his teammate Austin Dillon won. So he could be due. He could make it happen here.
Wasn't that summer race? Kyle Busch won this race last year after the rain delay.
All I know is it was Ford. No, the rain delay was. I'm pretty sure the rain delay was Austin.
No, that was the summer race.
Yeah,
I don't know. I spent so much damn time at Texas Motor Speedway. I get it confused, but I guarantee you, it was a long day.
I know Larson got quite a few second places before he finally got a win, and Reddick now this is his, I think, 3rd career runner-up finish.
I'm not going to argue with stat guy, but I'm just saying I was there.
I was going to say he's following in the footsteps of Larson, Chase Elliott, Casey Kane.
Yep.
I could go down the list.
And then Chris Buescher too, sitting there in 3rd. I mean, we haven't really seen the Roush cars run that well, but Chris Buescher has put on a couple solid runs. I mean, earlier at Homestead, he was running away like he's going to win this thing.
Well, you guys keep calling me the stat guy, so here's a stat for you. Roush Fenway was the best Ford in both Charlotte races this year. The last time that happened, Carl Edwards was still driving for them.
Wait, who? Did you just say the Lord's name in vain?
Come on.
Oh, come on, Jerry. You got to stir the pot a little bit. You know best of everyone how to do that.
But here's the thing. But if you mention Carl Edwards' name, then everyone's like, oh my God, he's coming out of retirement.
Exactly.
I can't control what the
stir
stat
that
is, though.
I'm going to call Carl up and I'm going to ask him to come on the show and finally put an end to the rumors that he's coming back to the sport. If he did anything, he might come back and run a Bristol dirt race. But, that's just what I was told from my sources that I actually reached out to talk about. I didn't read it in a tweet.
But yes, I will go with Kyle Larson for my pick at Texas.
Okay, so you're picking out a turn. That's okay.
No, he picks first.
Oh, he
That's
does.
right.
He does.
So
pick first?
Jerry,
Okay.
And now
Jerry,
it's
here.
you.
Hold on, Jerry. All right, now you're muted. Cool. Anyway, so
Wow. Okay. I am going to go with a very bold pick. And probably not one that anyone would have thought that I would do. And no, it's not Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I'm going to pick Kevin Harvick.
So he's going to bounce back. So you think he's actually going to win a race this year? Interesting.
I think this could be, as you heard Rob say earlier in the show, this could be, he's got 3 wins here. He's led 733 laps. I'm picking Harvick.
Now he does start from way back in the 24th position because of that
don't
crash.
matter.
At Rowe.
You know why? Starting position at Texas Motor Speedway means nothing. Nothing.
And I will say it means less now since we're not using the PJ1 and we're using the resin.
That's right. Makes a difference. And
thank you.
And it's all about, it's still sticky stuff. But at the end of the day, it's been a good week for Tony Stewart Racing. Tony Stewart going to put his bride in an NHRA car. They're going to start a new drag racing team together. This is a good week for Stewart Haas Racing. So for at least for the Tony Stewart part of Stewart Haas Racing. So why not? Kevin and Tony are good friends. I'm sure Kevin will be in the wedding. I'm sure they're pumped up about that. That will be another reason for Kevin to be on top of his game this weekend.
And the last one to pick is myself. I'm not going to go with a bold pick. I'm going to take some of the. I'm going to basically make an easy pick.
You're going with the low-hanging fruit, is what you're saying?
Yes. Kyle Busch.
Chicken. Because you want to try and get you to the points lead.
Well, I am the points lead.
But you want to keep me from getting to the points lead again.
Well, actually, the person
not that far in the points, brother.
You're third. Rachel is between us right now.
She doesn't count.
Rachel's been sneaking up.
He doesn't count.
Speaking of Rachel, has she said any picks in?
Yes, I was just about to say, I just remembered that. Right, you said that. So for Xfinity, did we? I picked Auger. Did someone pick Cindric? Right,
I did.
Okay, so she's going to go with Noah Gragson, and in Cup she'll go with Denny Hamlin.
Okay then.
I'm not sure Denny. I think Denny might have won at Texas.
A while ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
See. Results by track, and Texas is going to be way down here. No, it's going to be.
You know what? We need that on our site. We need results by track on our site. We need those stats.
He has won there 3 times. The last time in spring of 2019. Before that, he swept the 2010 races.
See? You know that I've been at almost every race at Texas Motor Speedway for NASCAR?
No, I've almost been at every race.
It's probably because I'm old.
Yep.
So
you probably have so much dust on you. You probably still have the dust from the construction site.
well,
And
there's that.
Real quick, one other thing I do want to mention. Team USA, there is actually a motorsports Team USA announced their scholarship participants for this year. And there is a NASCAR connection. Andre Castro from the NASCAR Wayland Euro Series was selected to be a part of the program. And they also got to tour the Haas F1 shop today. So they will compete in, I think it's the British Formula Ford for the American team.
Seth, that's really cool. Anytime you can get young or new people involved in the sport or transition into any form of NASCAR, it's awesome. I want to let you know during the race weekend at Las Vegas, 2311 and Dr. Pepper announced the Speed Institute scholarship program. And we're going to get that young lady. Her name is one of the recipients was Allison Gallego. She's actually from Texas and goes to Texas A&M. And we're going to have her on the show in a couple of weeks and kind of find out more what this Speed Institute scholarship program is about with 2311 and Dr. Pepper. So yeah, I'm all about that type of involvement in the sport when we reach out and help others.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, are we done?
We are finally done. A lot of little stuff, but we are finally done. It's crazy to think that there's the round of 8 coming up. Trucks still have 2 weeks off before they race at Martinsville. So all those Talladega nightmares still have to sink in with everyone. But buckle up, people, because these last 4 races are going to get crazy.
And for me, iRacing is done for 2 weeks. Then it's that Road to Pro Contender Series, which will run throughout the entire month of November and December.
Oh, and one other thing too. If anyone is interested in Supercross races, make sure you like our social media, like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, because I got word from Feld Entertainment. We might be giving away a few tickets to some of the races for the Supercross season. You can check out the schedule on our website, kickingtires.net. So make sure you go there, look at the schedule, and keep an eye out, because just follow some instructions that'll get released here in the next few weeks, and you can get entered to win 2 free tickets to one of those races.
I don't think it's a mic that we're going to get. We are definitely giving them away. So somebody could win tickets.
I'm trying to make it suspenseful, Jerry. Like, come on. Like, really? I'm trying to think of like Batman music behind me. We were talking about DC and Marvel kind of thing, but
look. Don't tease these people. Just tell them you're going to win. Okay. Go like our stuff. Go follow our social media. We'll tell you how to win. I know some things that are going on behind the scenes that, well, I guess I kind of leaked some of that earlier that, to you guys, but normally I don't tell y'all all the stuff that I'm working on. But we did have a new sponsor come on board this week with Mike D's Barbecue out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Mike has sauces and rubs, and they even make barbecue pits. So Mike is sending me some barbecue sauce and some other stuff. I should get it in the next few days, and hopefully by the time I get back from Texas Motor Speedway, which I'm leaving for the track as soon as this show is over, I can do some ribs and maybe some brisket, and I can have barbecue on the show and try out some of the samplings from Mike D's Barbecue. Check them out, MikeD'sBarbecue.com. And we appreciate them coming on and sponsoring Kicking the Tires. So that's going to do it for us this week. Like, follow, share, do all the fun stuff you need to do with the YouTube and social media channels. And we'll see you next week as we come back from Texas and maybe head to Kansas.
Maybe head to Kansas.